7 years after I married the devoted second lead, the female lead Tian Ban. She had a fight with the male lead and stood in the rain at my front door. Meng, I have nowhere else to go. My usually gentle and steady husband Meng Haishu lost his temper. I went to confront him. Even my 7-year-old son Meng Bai was waving his fists. Don't cry, pretty lady, I'll marry you when I grow up. While they rushed to cheer her up. I got stuck on the fishing boat because of a sudden downpour while buying river fish. Boomer was shouting at the top of his lungs, calling out the customers on the shore. Anyone heading to Qingzhou? I looked down at my basket. I just bought 3 sorry fish and had 1 tael of silver left. I handed the tael to the boatman and asked Kat, how far can 1 tael get me? 1. That'll get you to Qingzhou with change to spare. The boatman asked with a smile, you going to Qingzhou, ma'am? I nodded. The boatman looked at me with some suspicion. I was wearing everyday clothes with no luggage. The basket on my arm only held the 3 sari I just bought from him. Want to go home and pack? Or wait for your family? I thought about it and shook my head with a smile. No, just me. Though the boatman found it strange, he stopped asking once he got the silver. Set off, the river was misty, like the paintings hanging in Meng Haishu's study. The boatman said it would take 2 days by water to reach Qingzhou. I felt the half string of coins in my pocket and touched my bean jade hairpin. I realized I might have been a bit rash. This morning, Meng Haishu told me he wanted to eat my double skin sari. When I left, my son Meng Bai kept reminding me. The pretty lady said like she wanted fish. Mother, buy 4, 1 for father. 1 for the pretty lady, 1 for Bai, and 1 for you. If you ask me, it's the boatman's fault. Why'd he only have 3 left? 4 people I didn't know how to divide, that's why I felt like running away. Just then, my stomach growled. I hadn't brought food, so I spent 15 wen, borrowed a small stove from the ship's cook, and bought a small block of tofu. I wanted to save money. But without tofu, the fish would be too pitiful. Gut it, scale it, fry until golden, then add boiling water. A pot of milky white fragrant soup bubbled softly on the stove. The other passengers sniffed the air and kept looking over. Wow, that smells amazing. When I was on my 3rd piece of tofu, the boatman couldn't help swallowing. You've got skills, ma'am. How'd you make this soup white as milk? I gave him a bowl, and the boatman was over the moon. I watched him wipe the bowl with bread until it looked like it didn't need washing. I felt pretty pleased with myself. Too bad there's no cilantro, or it'd be even better. After eating the soup, the boatman warmed up to me. I learned his name was Tanshen and he learned my surname was Tiao. Did you have a fight with your husband and you're going back to your parents' house? No, Meng Haishu is gentle natured. In 7 years of marriage, we've never fought. Others would say we're a loving couple. I'm not running home, we're separating. Changshen couldn't contain his curiosity. Why separate? Money or someone else? That stumped me. Why is that? Not really money or someone else. Maybe because of the umbrella Meng Haishu held for her half a month ago. Or the plain silver hairpin bag I gave her last night. Or maybe the 3 fish that troubled me today. But none of those seem right. Oh, I remember now. Because of a bowl. I held the fish soup and nodded firmly. That bowl was too salty, it made me feel like this life wasn't worth living. It's because of a bowl of noodle. Yes, a bowl of longevity noodles. 2. Half a month ago, a young woman came to my door. She knocked on the door crying in the drizzle, like a pear blossom beaten by rain. Man, Yuzi really doesn't know what to do anymore. Meng Haishu wasn't home, he was seeing patients at the clinic. He's a very responsible doctor once he starts treating someone. He won't easily let go, sometimes he even forgets to eat the meals I bring him. Let alone when I'm sick, I've been coughing for 3 days without getting better. I had needles in my hand, and patients were teasing him with winks. Even with Dr. Men, your wife still gets sick. Meng Haishu just gave a bitter smile. My wife loves to play, yesterday she caught cold flying kites with Bai. Outside, Bai came running in and hugged Meng Haishu's leg. Father, there's a really pretty lady at the door looking for you. She said her name is Yu. Hearing that name, Meng Haishu froze, the needle almost pricked his own hand. Bai pulled him urgently, and father and son stumbled out of the clinic. Leaving me alone, hands full of needles, awkwardly stuck. Should I go or stay? Less than a cup of tea's time, Meng Haishu came rushing back with an umbrella. Not because he remembered I still had needles in my hands. Because he realized I had the house key. Sorry, Kiao, I panicked for a moment. He panicked, but didn't forget to grab an umbrella to shield her from the rain. Being good to Miss Yuzi had become my husband's habit. I'm troubling men. Yuzi lowered her head and wiped her eyes. I had a fight with Lu. It's not for you, I really don't know where I could go. A few days ago she fought with her husband. In a fit of anger, Yuzi ran away from home. Good thing you came to me. How could you not even know you're pregnant? The usually soft-spoken Meng Haishu raised his voice for the first time. You're pregnant. I'm going to have a talk with Lu Yan. Bai excitedly crowded around Yush, calling her pretty lady over and over. Pretty lady, your clothes are so beautiful, and you smell so nice. Yushi patted Bai's head and looked at Meng Haishu with pleasant surprise. Oh my, they're identical. Now there are 2 Mengs. Getting praised made Bai even happier. Then when I grow up, I'll marry the pretty lady. Yushi laughed at this and couldn't help glancing at Meng Haishu. He really is your son, even his taste is like yours. Yushi smiled. Meng Haishu felt a low pain stir in his heart. He walked outside as if by accident and spoke to me. Yushi is pregnant, her diet needs to be light. I'll stick to fish and shrimp for meat. Don't use cooking wine. I wasn't actually happy, but I couldn't say exactly what made me unhappy. How long is she staying? A doctor has compassion, she's pregnant. How can you kick her out? I pouted. I'm not a doctor, I thought. Seeing I was unhappy, Meng Haishu sighed, patted my head, and said gently, Go cook for now, tomorrow I'll go to the Lu estate and talk to Lu Yan, okay? Afraid I was still upset, Meng Haishu added. Your birthday is in half a month, our family of 3 will celebrate properly, Bai has a surprise for you. Across the window, I glanced at chubby Bai and couldn't help smiling. But that's Bai's New Year money, he said he'd save it to marry a wife someday, you're stealing from him too. What do you mean stealing? Honoring mother is right and proper. Don't ask what it is, I promise to keep it secret. I smiled and pressed down the sweetness in my heart. I won't ask. Because I already saw it. The silver hairpin Bai sneakily hid under his pillow. 3. Lu Yan wasn't at the estate. The Lu family said he'd been summoned to the capital. The capital is far. Who knows what the emperor wants from him. It'll take at least half a month. Kiao, wait another half month, okay? I don't know why I don't like Miss Yuji. When she calls me Sister Kiao, she smiles so sweetly. I love when people praise my cooking, but her compliments make me unhappy. Sister Kiao, your cooking is really delicious. No wonder you've got a tight hold on Meng's heart. But except for me, Meng Haishu and Bai both really like her. Bai, who usually listens to me, pushed away his rice bowl for the first time. Rice spilled, soup dripped along the table edge. I can't eat this, I want to go out with her and buy pastries. I couldn't stand him wasting food. I scolded him a couple times. Bai wiped his tears but didn't admit he was wrong. Then Yuji came over to smooth things over. Sister Qiao, kids have a sweet tooth. They can't just eat proper meals all the time. Bai wiped his tears and glared at me hatefully. Why is my mother you? Why isn't my mother the pretty lady? That sentence from Bai made even Meng Haishu freeze outside the door. He lowered his eyes sadly. My heart felt like someone had gouged out a piece of it. When I was pregnant with Bai, it was hard. The baby was in the wrong position. I was in pain for a whole day and night before giving. Whenever Bai misbehaved, Meng Haishu would tell him how hard it was for your mother to have you. Bai would quickly cover Meng Haishu's mouth with his hand and point to his own chest. Father, don't say anymore. When mother hurts, Bai hurts here too. The next day was my birthday. I cooked a table full of Meng Haishu's favorite dishes and bought the pastries Bai wanted. By the time it got dark and the dishes had been reheated for the sun, Meng Haishu came home with Bai. I saw the silver hairpin Bai was going to get me stuck in Miss Yuji's hair. When Meng Haishu saw me looking at the hairpin, he suddenly remembered that today was my birthday. He hurried to explain because Miss Yuji was feeling down. They spent the day out with her. The hairpin was just Bai letting Yuji wear it for fun. He wasn't giving it to her. Yuji patted Bai's head. Bai, be good. Give the hairpin to mother, okay? It behind Yuji. His mouth turned down and he burst into tears. Why should I give it to her? She doesn't look as good wearing it as the pretty lady. Meng Haishu's face darkened. He sternly scolded. But Yuji protected the child like a loving mother. I don't know why. But I felt like I'd become someone very bad and very unnecessary. The dishes in the kitchen went cold again. I had no energy or appetite to reheat them. I cooked myself a bowl of noodle. Maybe I was cross-hearted. I got confused and added too much salt. A bowl of noodles so salty it was bitter made me feel like this life was too hard to bear. 3. Make a good life for yourself, Sister Qia. Off the boat, Changshen cupped his hands and shouted to me. I stood at the dock and waved at him. I wanted to count how much money I had left to find a place to stay. Then I discovered the silver I'd given Changshan had somehow been slipped back under the bamboo basket. The boat had already left. I couldn't catch up. Well, I'll just have to pay him back later. I spent 3 days asking around the restaurants in Qingdou. Either they weren't hiring or they kept lowering the wages. One place did agree. The manager said he'd try me out, had me cook for 3 days. I don't know what family eats so much, just the rice I steamed could feed the Meng household for half a year. I didn't dare sack off. I was running around like crazy. Every time that manager with a little mustache came by, he smiled and nodded. I thought I'd passed. Who knew on the 3rd day that manager would turn on me and throw me and my bundle out the door. Your cooking is no good, Mom. Customers got sick. Now we've got to pay them a fortune. Even I knew I'd been scammed. I didn't cry. I wiped my eyes, picked up my bundle, and dusted it off. By the 6th day, my money ran out. I stood at the pawn shop door about to pawn the hairpin. But a young man who looked like a scholar stopped me. Mom, wait. I didn't know him. A few days ago, did you cook the meals for our academy, ma'am? No, I cooked for Qiyong House a few days ago. I never cooked for any academy. That's it then. Our academy ordered from Qiyong House. I remember the manager saying customers got sick. I asked nervously. Did you get sick? Nobody got sick. The scholar smiled. Your cooking was excellent, ma'am. We ordered for 2 more days, but Qiyong House never made food that good again. We asked around and found out their manager was dishonest. So what? Our academy needs a house manager. It's a bit hard work. Besides cooking, you'd have to do laundry, but room and board are included. Would you be interested, ma'am? This was Guanti Academy, one of Qingzhou's most famous schools, built near the mountains and water. I couldn't really read the fancy calligraphy on the plaque. I couldn't figure out what deep meaning it had. I just thought the wasteland behind the school would make 2 nice vegetable gardens, could even raise some chicken. The teacher said so the academy had lots of bamboo groves. I thought that was nice too. Young bamboo shoots stewed with salted pork soup. Old bamboo split up for green bean trellises. I like planting beans and melons, but Meng Haishu doesn't. He said a gourd should have plum trees. Viewing plum blossoms in winter is elegant. I happily transplanted a whole garden of red plum trees for him. It was a long time but I found out that misuse also liked plum blossoms. Seeing I didn't speak, the scholar asked carefully. Do you have any concerns, ma'am? Is it the wages? Can I grow vegetables here? Of course you can. I nodded. Alright, Ben. Fu. A few families live near the academy. The scholar who came looking for me that day was Shu Chang. Shu Chang reminded me that the academy is friendly and the families nearby are easy to get along with. Just don't get mixed up with that shameless dog. Shameless dog? Shu Chang said bitterly. That's who a little beast whose mother gave birth to him but didn't raise him. I'd heard from others. Who is a 10-year-old kid, his dad remarried. His mom married someone else, and nobody wanted him. No kids want to play with Hu, they say he's full of lies. His hands aren't clean, always stealing stuff. Plus he's strong and likes to hit people. If you cross him, he'll knock down your cucumber trellis in the middle of the night, or open your chicken coop and invite the weasels in. The kids hate him, that's one thing. Normally, 20-year-old Su Chang wouldn't have beef with 10-year-old Hu. But 2 years ago, he set a trap for rabbits and made Su Chang break his leg, making him miss the exam. And the exam topic was history, which Su Chang was best at. From then on, Su Chang hated him. When Su Chang tried to beat him up, he would just lie on the ground, like a little hoodlum. He's hitting people. He's hitting a kid. A teacher hitting a good person. Chang couldn't swallow this insult, so he bought candy for the neighborhood kids to get them to beat up Hu. After getting beaten, Hu rolled around in the mud like a shameless dog. Doesn't hurt at all. Completely shameless, nobody at the academy can handle him. Shan was completely out of options and had to accept his bad luck. I didn't provoke him. But who provoked me? He stole my chicken and roasted it on the back hill. Was too hot and fell on the ground. He didn't care about the dirt. Just brushed off the dust and stuffed it in his mouth. Swallowing touched his wound and made him gasp in pain. But it didn't stop him from wolfing it. He was so focused on eating, he didn't notice I was standing behind him. I tapped him on the shoulder. Roasting chicken like this doesn't taste good. Hu was so scared he shook and choked, coughing like crazy. I patted him on the back. You should stew chicken with mushrooms or stir fry it for noodle topping. 2 bowls of chicken soup, one for him and one for me. Except his bowl had 2 drumsticks. Just like I used to make chicken soup for Bai and Menhaishu. Father and son each got a drumstick. Hu looked at me skeptically, but couldn't resist how good that soup smelled. And how plump those drumsticks were. What do you want? I want to tell you, this chicken is good for soup. The soup is poison. You think I won't eat it? Hu held the bowl like he was ready to die. I saw his eyes go wide on the first sip. He ate like a mess. I thought he might swallow his tongue. I couldn't help but think, no wonder people say a growing boy eats his old man out of house and home. After the 3rd bowl of chicken soup, even Hugh's eyes looked clearer. When you're hungry, don't steal things. You can come over and eat. He wiped his mouth with his filthy sleeve. He wanted to say something, but when he looked up and saw Shu Chang coming in, he didn't even say thanks, just put down the bowl and ran. Shu Chang spat at his back. Don't be soft-hearted. That's an ungrateful little wolf you can't tame. It's not about being soft-hearted. I just think a kid who values food can't be all that bad. But the next day, my bean trellis behind the schoolhouse fell down. Su Chang brought a bunch of people over as witnesses, who stood helplessly next to the fallen bean trellis. Before I could say anything, Hu shoved Su Chang hard and ran off in a panic. That little beast. Mom treated him so well, and he went and wrecked the yard. I thought about it. The wind blew all night and it rained hard. Maybe I didn't set it up right. That night, a sneaky shadow crouched outside the yard. I warmed up yesterday's chicken soup and when the smell drifted out, that shadow couldn't stay crouched. I didn't knock down the trellis. Last night I heard the wind and thought your trellis might blow down. So I came to check. Why did you run if you were going to tell me? Hu hung his head and his voice was almost crying. I didn't want to run but I was scared you'd yell at me first, asking me what happened. So from now on, when something happens I'll ask you first, okay? Hu didn't say anything. He lifted the whole bowl to drink and the bowl covered his face. He wouldn't put it down. I laughed at him. Chicken mixed with tears doesn't taste good either. It'll be too salt. 5. In the blink of an eye it was summer. The teachers were traveling for study away on a lot. Today I had time, so I washed and dried the students' clothes and bedding. I don't study, my brain is slow. Who helped me secure the clothesline? Shaking his head over and over, plus everyone at the academy hates me. And I hate them too. Who is 10, 3 years older than Bai. Bai can already recite the 1,000-character classic and do some simple math. But Hu doesn't know anything, can't even read many words. I thought I'd save up for half a year and find a school for Hu. You can't read and you don't have a way to make a living. What will you do if people bully you later? If people bully me, I'll get you to back me up. By then I'll be old. What will you do? This question made Hu sad. He gripped my sleeve tight. You're not old. You're never allowed to get old. Okay. I won't get old. I'll always be with you. I crouched down and wiped away his tears. Then I heard someone behind me call my name, their voice full of disbelief and wild joy. Pia. The wind blew all the clothes in the yard up like sails on water, wavering shadows. I stood up and saw Meng Haishu holding Bai's hand, standing behind the sails, like they were on another shore. Is he you? I guess taking care of a pregnant woman is hard. Meng Haishu looked a lot thinner. He didn't dare come closer, just stared at me in a daze, eyes actually turning red. It was Bai who broke free from his hand, calling out for me, wanting to throw himself into my arms like always. Bah! Hu shoved him hard. who clutched my arm protectively, like a little tiger guarding his food. And who are you? Why are you calling my mother that? Meng Haishu was startled, but seeing who was taller than Bai, his doubts faded. Of course I wasn't foolish enough to think Meng Haishu traveled all this way just to find me. I suddenly figured it out and stood on my toes to look behind him. You came here because Miss Yuzi came too, right? Seeing me ask him so carefully, Meng Haishu looked pained. Is that you being here? When I was with Meng Haishu before, I fooled myself too. I thought Meng Haishu fell for me at first sight. That's why when the customer said my food was poisoned, he saved me. I thought Meng Haishu was slow to warm up. And 7 years ago when he said drunk you want to marry me, he was working out correct. I didn't know that day Miss Yuzi also ate food I made. He was worried sick about. I didn't know that day Meng Haishu was drowning his sorrows, saying he'd marry me because he was jealous of Yuzi and Lu Yan. That's why on our wedding night, when Miss Yuzi got sick and asked for him, I threw a tantrum. Meng Haishu, if you go I won't talk to you anymore. He had to go, just like I couldn't really stop talking to him. I scolded him all day, but the next day the rice I sent to the clinic had a drumstick hidden under it. I wanted him to eat a whole bowl of tasteless rice before he got to the good part. I fooled myself again. Meng Haishu didn't touch that rice. Because Miss Yuzi was sick, he was too worried to eat. She didn't come, I came to find you. Meng Haishu's voice went hoarse. Piao, don't be mad anymore, come home with me. He can't still get fun. I thought about it, and realized I couldn't be so full of myself anymore. I smiled awkwardly, my voice bitter. Haishu, if I go back, what about Miss Yuzi? From now on it'll just be you, me and Bai, the three of us. She won't be there. I swear never again. I didn't dare believe it. When I left the spring rain was still pouring at the ferry. 3 months later, the summer trees in Qingzhou were already lush. It took him a whole spring to realize I wasn't there. Too bad spring comes every year. Every spring rain reminds me, I was once left behind in that downpour. Seeing I was distant, Meng Haishu urgently tried to take my hand. He said it wasn't what I thought. When I didn't come home for 3 days, he frantically searched for me. I saw that lady named Chiao, she bought fish from me. The boatman had a reed in his mouth and pointed north, and naming a place completely opposite from Qingzhou. That lady went to Suchen. Meng Haishu rushed north with Bai. He searched all over Suchen for 2 months. He only found his way to Qingzhou after hearing scholars at a tavern say their academy recently got a cook whose food was incredible. So good that after leaving Guan Academy he couldn't eat anything else. I missed the academy meals most of all. You disappeared, and I heard you were mistreated. I was anxious and angry, my heart ached. And that's when I realized I actually cared. Only after I left did he finally see his own heart clearly. But I didn't dare believe it anymore. Haishu, do you know why I left? Because of Yush? No way. Because Bai and I made you sad. I shook my head. I went to buy fish, that day it was raining hard. All the other wives had husbands come pick them up, only I didn't. I wasn't even that hurt. I even thought if the rain stopped soon, I'd forgive you. Too bad the rain didn't stop for long. Too bad I almost forgave you again. I stood on someone's boat blocking the boatman from leaving. He wanted to make me leave, but seeing the heavy rain, he couldn't bear to. That's when I realized our 7 years together couldn't match a stranger's compassion. I had a hard time convincing myself to stop lying to myself. 7 years of marriage. You never really loved me. These past 3 months, the things that kept me up at night and soaked my pillow with tears now feel so distant, like they happened to someone else. I looked at him and slowly pulled my hand from his. After I came to Qingzhou, I was given a hard time too, bullied too. But no matter how hard it got, I never thought about going back. Never thought about going back to you. Haishu, I don't want to eat another bowl of birthday noodles mixed with tears. 6. Mom, are you giving up on Bai? Bai looked at me with tears in his eyes, wiping them away. Hugh heard that Bai was my real son. So he stopped shoving him, just glared. Bai wiped his tears and pointed at his heart. Mom, if you don't want Bai, it hurts here. Seeing me frown, Hu suddenly lay on the ground, covering his heart and rolling around. Mom, Hugh's head hurts too. I rushed to check Hugh's forehead. Hu made a face at Bai. Bai looked in disbelief at this big brother who was a head taller, and even more shameless than him. Piao, don't be mad. Come home with me, okay? I shook my head and pulled Hu back inside. No thanks, this is the home I made for myself. That's when Meng Haishu noticed the bean trellis in the yard. Purple pods hanging among green leaves. And some tofu were drying under the window. The few plump chickens pecked at bugs in the vegetable patch. And there was a little yellow dog who brought to guard the house, napping behind the chicken coop. I told him before I wanted to grow melons and vegetables in the yard. But he loved Miss Yu's. And because of that, loved the plum blossom she loved. Blossoms in the yard, there was no room for beans and melons. We can fix up our home like this when we go back. It won't be worse than here. Why fix it up again? It's good the way it is now. Seeing he couldn't convince me, Meng Haishu found a place to stay. Piao, I'll change. Watch me change, okay? Bai glared at her. Just you wait, thief. The next day at noon, came back with a black eye and swollen face. I asked him, he mumbled. I was chasing a rabbit and fell. Mom doesn't like kids who lie. Bai and Hu got in a fight. Knowing Bai was my real son, Hu didn't dare fight back. Why didn't you fight back? I was scared if I hit my little brother, you wouldn't want me anymore. If you hit him, I won't stop wanting you. I put medicine on Hugh's wounds, feeling bad for this anxious kid. But if you can't beat him, I don't want you anymore. But he said Mama carried him in her belly for 9 months, so of course Mama likes him more. I sighed and patted his head. Bayer showed up at the door with a bruised face, dragging Meng Haishu along to complain. Mama, Hugh hit me. Hugh hit your boy. Who proudly lifted his chin. 说了, I'm Mama's child too, Mama told me herself. She carried you in her belly, but she carries me in her heart. Bayer stared at him, totally stunned. You're lying. Mama wouldn't say that. Mama carries me in her heart too. You're so dumb. A heart is only so big. He takes up the whole thing. There's no room for Meng Bai. Whose 2 sentences left Meng Bai frozen. My mama also said from now on if anyone bully, I'll hit them right back. Mama's got my back. Haha, let me see which poor kid doesn't have Mama backing them up. Oh, it's Meng Bayer. Bayer couldn't argue back against Hugh and burst into tears. Who was so happy he ate 3 bowls of rice. Mama, Meng Bai is going to study. Hugh wants to study too. I won't be worse than him. He held his bowl and thought for a moment. Mama, when I start studying, I'll need a proper name. I've already thought of one. I'll take Mama's surname and be called Qiahu. The bad blood between Hu and Bayer was completely settled. What surprised me was that Hugh and Xu Chang, along with the other folks from the academy, got along much better. I actually saw students from Guanhei Academy squatting in the shade, teaching Hu how to read. Those 2 thieves from out of town wanted a kitty lady and take her back with them. If the lady leaves, all we'll have left is stale bread and bitter greens. And no more clean, soft clothes and bedding either. Shu Cheng patted Hugh on the shoulder like the fate of the world depended on it. I haven't been this serious about my own exams. Hu, you gotta come through for us. 7 men Haishu ran to the farmhouse. His hands, used to writing prescriptions, weren't good at farming. So the weeds flourished and the beans sprouted withered. Even Bayer's face got thinner. Out of desperation, he went back to his old trade and turned the front yard into a clinic. Summer weather's like a kid's mood, sunny one minute, rainy the next. The whole courtyard was covered with dry herbs. Haishu glanced at the sky and shouted toward the house. Piao, it's going to rain. We need to collect the herbs. The room was empty. Meng Haishu froze, then laughed at himself. I for Hao hasn't been here for a long time. Racing against the downpour, he gathered the herbs in a mat, only to see a woman holding an umbrella out. Piao. His voice was choked with emotion full. Men, it's me. Yuda came to Qingzhou because Lu Yan was keeping a mistress at his estate. A few days ago he wasn't in the capital, he was at the estate outside the city suite talking her. The Lu family kept it from her completely. I'm really afraid the Lu family will try to get rid of me and keep the child. Yuja looked up with tear-filled eyes. Can I stay here with you men? For some reason, Meng Haishu didn't really hear what Yuja said. He looked at the rain outside and wondered if Tiao had brought an umbrella. Last time she went out to buy fish, she got caught in a storm like this. So when Meng Haishu showed up at the academy in the rain holding an umbrella, he saw me sharing an umbrella with an academy teacher, saying goodbye under the walkway. The teacher thanked me warmly, saying the rain was so heavy. Good thing the lady had the foresight to bring an umbrella. Tiao. I turned around and saw Meng Haishu standing in the courtyard in the rain. He clutched that umbrella tightly, like a lifeline. What are you doing? The rain was pouring down. He looked pitiful and bedraggled, but his eyes were bright, full of hope. It's raining so hard I was afraid you'd get soaked. I shook my head. From now on I'll remember to bring an umbrella. You don't need to bring me one anymore. I saw his eyes dim for a moment, like the rain had put out a fire. I sighed. Don't stand in the rain, you'll get sick. He lit up like a kid who just got candy. Tiao, you still care about me, don't you? I didn't know how to answer him, so I turned and walked into the rain. Meng Haishu stood in the downpour and got sick when he went home. Bayer cried until he nearly threw up, begging me to come see him. When I got there, I saw Miss Yu just sitting by the bed with her pregnant belly, about to cry from worry. Meng Haishu was burning up with fever, mumbling. I'm sorry. Miss Yu just sat by the bed, glaring at me. Meng is such a good man. How could you let him stand in the rain? I'm here now. He doesn't need you. Since someone's here, at least he won't die alone and forgotten. I put down the kanji and turned to leave. Meng Haishu struggled out of bed and wrapped his arms around me from behind. His body was burning hot, but the tears on my neck were ice cold. His arms held me tight, but his voice was low and pleading. Tiao, don't go. Please stay with me. I just want you with me. I don't want anyone else. I sent her away, but then I got sick and confused, and she came back. I don't want her. I only want my Tiao. Yuji looked at him in disbelief, tears rolling down her face. Men, what are you saying? You're not going to look after Yuji anymore? Meng Haishu didn't even glance at her. Bayer spoke up. Miss Yu, my father already sent a letter to the Lu family. They said they'll come get you tomorrow. Yuji sat to her feet, crying. I'm not going back. I don't want to go back. The Lu family has that awful woman standing between me and Lu Yan. The Lu family takes her side. She'll steal my child. Steal my Lu Yan. After she said that, she froze. But Meng and I are different. We've been childhood sweethearts. Meng even said he'd marry me. That was a long time ago when I was just a kid. Don't come around anymore and don't call me that. Meng Haishu was cutting ties with her, word by word. You really think something a 6-year-old said should count? Yuji stood there, humiliation written all over her face. She looked at me for a long time, finally understanding why Meng Haishu had been so heartbroken all these years. 不清, then out the words Lu Yan, Meng Haishu, I was blind before. I didn't see how good you were from now on the two of us. Men Hashu looked at her coldly. Miss Yu, have some respect. In this life, Men Hashu has only one wife and that's Qiao. Her face flushed red, unable to say a word from embarrassment. Outside the rain was pouring. She ran out crying. Men Hashu anxiously grabbed my hand. Qiao, I'll never make you sad again. That's between you and her. It has nothing to do with me. Him cutting ties with Miss Yu is something he needed to do for himself, a long overdue reckoning. He's Men Hashu. He can't spend his whole life being someone's backup plan. Breaking free from that toxic relationship like quitting an addiction. It's something he should have done right all along, now he finally did. That's nothing for me to be moved by. On the way back, you didn't really understand. He tugged carefully at my sleeve. Is Mama still mad at Uncle Men? I crouched down and patted Hugh's head. Mama's not angry. But who, remember this, if someone makes you sad too many times. Spring vegetables won't wait for you, summer melons won't wait for you. It's such a shame to miss good food when it's in season. But with fruits and vegetables, at least next year you can buy them again. But when you miss out on people, there's no going back. Who scooted closer to me, scared? Never getting to eat good things again. Who doesn't want to be that kind of person? 8. From the teachers to the students, everyone at the academy said Dr. Meng was suspicious of everyone around Lady Tiao. Shu Chang rolled his eyes and said he lost his treasure, so now everyone looks like a thief to him. Besides, who wouldn't like Lady Tiao? She's gentle, easy to talk to, and cooks amazing food. When people owe her for sewing her laundry, she doesn't hold it against them. Seeing Men Hashu so anxious and insecure, I just found it funny. Not everyone's like them, making such a mess of their own lives, that they treat everyone else as a backup option. The entrance exam ended, Bai was full of himself. That evening Hu came home like a rooster that lost the fight, head down and shoulders slumped. The two of them stood at the door, and somehow Hu looked half a head shorter. Bai got good marks and proudly lifted his chin, waiting for me to praise him. Mama, I got first place. The teacher kept praising me. Hu was about to cry. Mama, he was useless, I didn't pass. Did you eat a good lunch today? Hu choked out. I did, but I was feeling bad, so I only ate 2 chicken legs. I patted Hugh's head. That's enough then. Wipe your tears and come eat. Bayer looked at me and shouted. Mama, are you crazy? I'm better than him. I'm smarter than him. Even the teacher praised me. Bayer, love isn't like that. Love isn't about comparing and weighing. Love cannot be compared or weighed. I know I'm not as pretty as Miss Yu Zhe, and I know I'm not as good at making people happy as she is. I'm not asking you to lie and say that silver hairpin looks better on me than on Miss Yu Zhe. The problem is you never should have compared me to her in the first place. Who couldn't study well, but the teacher said. Who is strong and built well, he could study martial arts. I thought about it and agreed. If he learns martial arts, he could work as a bodyguard and support himself. Or earn glory on the battlefield, either way he'd be fulfilling his potential. But to study martial arts, he couldn't stay at Guanti Academy, he'd have to go to Sucheng. I packed our things and took the letter of recommendation the academy headmaster wrote for me. The headmaster smiled and there was Mother Meng the past, now there's Mother Tiao. Who knelt on the ground crying and kowtowed to me 3 times. Mama saved my life. If it weren't for Mama, Hugh would have rotted in the mud. On the day we left, the late autumn rain was annoying, drizzling down. The boatman stood on the shore, his voice crisp and clear. Anyone else for Suchen? Men Hashu was the last person to know I was leaving. He rushed to the dock with Bai Er, but the boat seemed to mock him on purpose. When the academy folks said goodbye to me, the boat wouldn't leave. But the moment he arrived, it pulled away from shore. But between us, but it felt as wide as an impassable chasm. He didn't make it in time, he could only call out to me from far away. Tiao. I didn't know what to say to them, and felt awkward. The boatman noticed my hesitation. So he lifted his rain hat, revealing a familiar face. Lady Tiao, once you're on the boat, you don't look back, you only look ahead. I understood what he meant, smiled with relief, and asked him. Is 2 taels of silver enough to get me and the boy to Sucheng? Lady, you're joking, you'll have money left over getting to Sichuan. Men Hashu's story. The first time I saw Qiao was at a tavern. A customer was being a jerk, grabbing her and not letting her go, insisting that the food made him feel sick. He said she had to drink a pot of wine with him before he'd let her leave. Major didn't take her side either and pushed her toward him. Just drink some wine and be done with it, why are you crying? Yuzhi had also eaten her cooking, I was worried. I tested the Dirk's food for poison with a silver needle and checked his pulse. He wouldn't back down, so I threatened him quietly. You're fine now, but if my needle had gone an inch to the side, things would be different. And Lu Yan casually wiped his sword. The customer got the message and ran off sheepishly. You're okay now, miss. Lu Yan reached out to Qiao, who was hiding under the table. Don't be scared. Yuzhi clapped her hands, looking at Lu Yan with admiration. Lu Yan is so amazing. He scared him off in 1 second. My heart sank. It's always been this way. No matter what I did, in Yuzhi's eyes, Lu Yan was the big hero. We grew up together, but Lu Yan was always the best one in any crowd. At martial arts knowledge, I was never as good as him. So, Yuzhi's eyes never fell on me. Only medicine was a family tradition. Lu Yang could match neither. But Qiao didn't look at Lu Yan. Teary-eyed, she turned to look at me. Thank you. This was the first time someone noticed me when Lu Yan was around. After that, Qiao and I got to know each other. No matter what I did, Yuzhi only had eyes for Lu Yan. But without me doing anything, Qiao's eyes were only on me. So, when I was down and out, I always liked to go find Qiao. But Qiao didn't know I liked Yuzhi. She thought I came especially to see her. For Tiao, if there was good food, nothing was worth being sad about. Feeling down, then pure blossom liquor with dried fish, how's that? Some liquor went down my throat. I couldn't bear to deceive her anymore. I came to find her because Yuji was marrying Lu Yan, and I was heartbroken. Tiao, I only come to you when I'm upset. Do you hate me for that? Tiao crisply bit into the dried fish and shook her head matter-of-factly. When you're upset and you think of me, it means you really depend on me. I've always been all alone. No one ever talked to me. You coming makes me so happy. I'm with you, Dr. Meng around, they don't dare bully me anymore. In that moment, hearing Tiao's dependence on me, my heart actually stirred. Maybe the pure blossom liquor was too strong, maybe the moonlight that night was too beautiful. Maybe to spite Yuji, maybe I truly was moved by her in that moment. I blurted out, "Will you marry me?" The moonlight revealed instantly flushed face. She was so startled she forgot to finish chewing the fish in her mouth and hurriedly nodded. Later on our wedding night, Tiao told me she originally wanted to be reserved and say let her think it over. But afraid I'd be hurt, she nodded right away. Candlelight glowed softly, she wore a few and gazed at me with a smile. Before, the tavern owner said, whether he'd keep me on, he had to think it over. He thought for 3 days and I felt miserable for 3 days. Couldn't stand, couldn't sit, afraid he wouldn't want me. Thinking makes people feel awful. Tiao didn't want you to feel awful. Tiao gave me her whole heart. But I didn't. She wanted to plant vegetables in the courtyard at home. I wanted to keep a bit of Yuji's memory at home. Usually plum blossoms that bloomed in the snow. I wanted to plant some outside my study. First, so I could see them whenever I looked up. Second, so later, when Yushi visited, she'd know I always kept her in my heart. Tiao didn't know. When I said I wanted to plant flowers, she froze but quickly smiled and said, "Plum blossoms are good. They're great. We can pick them to make tea." She happily went to pick out red plums. Why she wasn't buying melon seedlings but plum blossoms instead? Tiao just smiled, eyes full of pride. Of course it's because my husband and I are gonna mar the plums and watch the snow together. She was pregnant with Baoden, belly out, watching them plant it like a treasure, afraid of damaging the plum tree. Seeing her so happy, I suddenly felt so cruel. Someone told her that Miss Yuji loved plum blossoms most. When I got home, she was sitting outside my study. She'd been waiting a long time. She didn't cry or make a scene, she just looked at me pleadingly. "It's her you like, isn't it?" I was bad at lying, my silence cut her deep. She didn't have anyone move those plum blossoms. She just never went to my study again. Bao was a naughty child. During labor the baby was in the wrong position. Tiao suffered for a day and a night before giving birth. With Bao around, our relationship eased up a lot over the years. But Yuji came. Lu Yan had wronged her. I was busy comforting Yuji. I didn't see Tiao's eyes slowly dimming. I didn't know she was always picky about food. How she managed to swallow that bowl of longevity noodles used to its peers. That night, Yuji said she was craving swordfish. I told Tiao it was me who wanted it. The morning Tiao went out, the weather was gloomy, like it was brewing a storm. When the rain poured down, I hesitated about bringing her an umbrella. Never mind, heavy rain never lasts long, maybe it'll stop soon. She could just wait a bit. But by the time Bao was crying about being hungry, by the time it was dark, Tiao still hadn't come home. Day 2, day 3, Bao kept crying for Mama. I was going crazy too. I asked around town, everyone who'd seen her said Tiao was carrying a little basket that day, still wearing that jade hairpin, didn't look like she was going out. Did you and Lady Tiao have a fight? Such a wonderful wife, Dr. Meng better made things right. On the 7th day, a boatman said he'd seen her heading to Sioux City. I didn't know why Tiao would go to Sioux City, or why that boatman lied to me. In the Sioux City tavern, travelers mentioned a woman came to the academy who could cook amazing food. Poor thing, though, that lady got bullied. No one helped her, she just sat at the door crying. If Xu Chanzhen hadn't found her, she would have pawned her hairpin. Hearing she was bullied, my chest tightened painfully. This heart attack was completely different from when Yuji came to me crying. When I arrived at Crane Lodging Academy, there was a figure hanging clothes in the courtyard. The wind billowed all the clothes in the yard, like sails on water, wavering. The wild joy of something lost and found made me choke up. Seeing me, Xiao froze first, instinctively stepped back. Then carefully looked behind me. "You're here because that Miss Yushi came too." I couldn't blame her for being guarded, I'd hurt her too deeply. There won't be anyone else anymore, just the 3 of us. But she didn't want me or Bao anymore. Looking back now, it's because in 7 years I never thought to shield Xiao from the rain. That's why she learned to hold her own umbrella. After all, a relationship so full of worry and fear is too tormenting. Even in the bright spring sun, you have to guard against a storm that could come any moment. She told everyone she was leaving. Everyone except me and Bao. Once again I was a step too late, I couldn't grab her sleeve. "Bao and I will come to Sioux City to find you. I'll do everything to make it up to you." The autumn rain drizzles. Her figure fades away. 7 years too late, I wonder if she can hear it.